In their 34 years of existence, Caesar's legion has certainly made their mark on the wasteland. Occupying a territory consisting of the pre-war states of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado, Caesar has formed a fully fledged nation with its own unique culture, ideology, and outlook of the wasteland. But what do the other factions of Fallout think of the Legion? Starting off, we have the Brotherhood of Steel. Relations between Caesar's Legion and the Brotherhood of Steel are not the greatest. A Brotherhood scout refers to the Legion as savages with crude weapons, and is extremely confused as to how the once powerful NCR had not demolished them. Veronica, a scribe, labels them as the silliest band of raping, slaving marauders you'll see east of California. In Caesar's words, the Brotherhood has the worst impulses of mankind concentrated in one insane backward tribal identity, which is quite a statement for a man cosplaying as Julius Caesar. He goes on to say that despite masking their mission and chivalry, and the fact that they've existed for 200 years, the Brotherhood are no more than scavengers, hoarding technology for no purpose. He sums their society as one with no future or vision, a genetic dead end. That said, given his value of martial pride, the one area of the Brotherhood he does respect are its knights and paladins. One of the missions that Caesar commands is to eliminate the Brotherhood from the region, his reason being that while his legion can win a war against the Brotherhood, it would cost them greatly, and that each paladin is a formidable foe. And this is unique as these are the only troops of any faction that Caesar gives any respect to. In fact, in the cut content, the courier can tell Caesar that the Brotherhood will attack Helios 1 in conjunction with the Legion assault on Hoover Dam. Caesar can be persuaded by this, claiming that the value of the attack and the chaos that it would cause behind the NCR's lines would be worth letting the Brotherhood live. And while the Brotherhood would be far too proud to admit it, in their current status, the Legion would be able to take them. In endgame playthroughs of Fallout New Vegas, where the Brotherhood was not destroyed, the Legion is able to rout them not only from the recently occupied Helios 1, but from the Hidden Valley bunker as well. This is a fairly huge undertaking to consider, since it would be an incredibly advantageous location to defend, and yet the Legion are able to conquer the power-armored knightly foes. As a result, it is indicated that the Legion has some experience in fighting the Brotherhood from previous engagements. Something of particular interest is the fact that Caesar openly states that they'd captured Brotherhood scribes in the east. It is unconfirmed, but it's likely that the chapter they came into contact with may have been the Midwestern Brotherhood, as this faction has a bunker located in the ruins of Dodge City, Kansas. This is supported by Caesar stating that the scribes did not know the name of their founder, Roger Maxon. The Brotherhood, and scribes in particular, are fastidious about their history. However, the Midwestern chapter had broken away from the main Brotherhood's ideals, and sought to forge their own path. They therefore may have been less inclined to honour the memory of their founder and the Codex. Anyway, side note aside, it is interesting that they've captured scribes, since Brotherhood scribes are very rarely seen undertaking surface missions. So the fact that the Legion has been able to capture them indicates that they had either annihilated a large group of knights and paladins, or potentially been able to invade a bunker itself. Legion Centurions are seen to possess the Brotherhood Model T-45 power armor, located on their arm, with Centurion armor being said to be assembled by components of conquered adversaries' armor, which means that every Centurion we've seen in-game has killed at least one Brotherhood of Steel knight. Therefore, given the events we see in-game, and infer from Kaiser's comments and the Brotherhood of Steel member comments, the Legion and the Brotherhood of Steel relations are openly hostile. Both groups ironically view the other as a backwards, insane tribe with no long-term future. Now for the Enclave. The Enclave and Caesar's Legion don't have a wealth of interactions to draw upon, essentially due to the fact that, by the time that the Legion was on the rise, the Enclave on the west coast, at least, had been decimated. It is imagined, however, that the Enclave High Command would have viewed the Legion, much the same as they view any other wasteland group, as mutants who should not be suffered to live. However, the two groups can technically form an alliance in the year 2281. Past Enclave soldiers, known as the Remnants, are able to be brought together to assist in the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, swooping in on their vertibird and laying waste to the NCR. However, there is still dissension even amongst the group, as two members of the Enclave, being Cannibal Johnson and Arcade Gannon, will refuse to fight for the Legion, with the latter expressing disgust that this would turn New Vegas into the new slave capital of the West. If victorious, the relations between the Legion and Enclave can go one of two ways. Caesar, having knowledge of the Enclave being a past NCR resident, advises his forces not to pursue the Enclave after they aided them at Hoover Dam. In contrast, if Caesar is dead, Legate Linnaeus will command his troops to chase the remnants all the way into Arizona, apparently losing hundreds of legionaries. In either case, the combat prowess and power of the Enclave shocked and awed many of the Legion forces, with even Centurions having fear struck in their hearts after witnessing the remnants of pre-war America decimate their foes. Now, for New Vegas and Caesar's Legion's relations. When we talk about New Vegas, we need to analyse things with a bit more nuance. As although Mr. House and the three families are technically a united front, they aren't when it comes to their opinion on Caesar. For the three families, the Chairmen are against, White Gloves on the fence, and Omertas in support. The Chairmen staunchly oppose the Legion, as they love their shiny new digs and don't care to revert to a more tribal way of living. When asked about them, Swank, Benny's second in command, refers to them as clowns, stating that it doesn't matter how many Latin names Caesar gives himself, a thug is nothing but a thug. Benny evidently doesn't like the Legion, given that he's captured by them, tortured by them, and in most instances, dies from crucifixion. The White Gloves are split in the middle, as their leader Marjorie does not support Caesar's Legion, declaring them to be an unwashed barbarian race that sullies the White Gloves' name when mentioned in the same breath. In contrast, her second-in-command Mortimer wishes to join forces with them for one particular dietary reason. The White Gloves prior to the arrival of Mr. House were originally cannibals, a fact that Caesar wishes to take advantage of. His offer for them joining his legion is that they can eat a portion of what they conquer. Mortimer is desperate to return to these old ways, seeing it not as a regression to their past, but a way to show that they're truly better than others, by eating them. Relations between the two groups can thaw if Marjorie is convinced to return to their said old ways. However, they do remain hostile to the Legion if no action is taken, and stand alongside House and the Chairmen against the Omertas. See, the Omertas have chosen to support the Legion in the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. However, it seems this alliance is built on the same lies that Caesar employs against all who seek to be his equal. Big Sal, for instance, states that Caesar asked us to provide a distraction on the Strip, so when he gives the word, we're going to launch an all-out assault on the Strip. First, we're going to blow the embassy, then we're going to use soldiers to kill every last motherfucker on the Strip, then we'll run this joint. That'll teach Not at Home what can go on while he sits in his fucking ivory tower, lording down from on high. The Omertas are under the impression that supporting the Legion will result in ownership of the Strip passing to them. Caesar distinctly wants New Vegas to be the new capital of his empire, and does not suffer individual tribal identities to live in his legion. Even Linnaeus states that he hoped the Omertas died when they attacked New Vegas, as their usage of treachery would sully Caesar. Ultimately, the group who lived for betrayal would never imagine that Caesar's legion would do it straight back to them. And speaking of Mr. Not at Home, Mr. House and Caesar are individuals who both have very low opinions of each other. Which is funny, as both individuals are highly intelligent, self-admitted autocrats who rule their societies as they see fit, and view themselves as the only person who can raise humanity from the ashes. It's just the method of doing so which differs between the two, and where their opinions are formed. For example, Caesar derides House's technologies, stating that if humanity is to survive this moment in history, it needs warriors rather than gadgets. He claims that House is a coward hiding behind an army of robots in the Lucky 38, a man too scared to fight an open battle against the Legion, and who will instead use the NCR and Legion to fight each other, become weak, and then take hold of the region for himself. Which is an astute summary of what House's plan actually is. House, on his part, does view Caesar's legion as a savage but organised society, and Caesar himself as a very capable strategist. However, the legion offers no real future, given that it's a regurgitation of the past, and when eliminated on their orders, House is horrified by the idea that the future for mankind is one where slavery is featured. Given that the Legion exists from conquering and assimilating tribes, their most expansive diplomatic relations are with these tribal groups themselves, and while there are a multitude of tribes to draw from, we'll focus only on the following. The Dead Horses once were sought as prospective recruits for the Legion, and when Joshua Graham first visited them as the first legate, the Dead Horses experienced the same introduction as many tribes before, all the way back to the Blackfoot. Graham taught them how to hunt efficiently, how to maintain their firearms, and how to conduct warfare. The dead horses stated that they were terrified of Graham at the time, considering him to be hard, cruel, yet also proud. They respected his strength and lessons and vowed to fight for he and his master Caesar. Before their assimilation could be completed, however, Joshua Graham went off to the First Battle of Hoover Dam, and when he returned as the Birdman. Cast out from the Legion and seeking to atone for the lifetime of sin, Graham told the dead horses the fate that they would have had in the Legion, causing them to despise the Legion and their tribal auxiliaries, the Whitelegs. The Whitelegs differ from most tribes that the Legion interacts with, given that they wish to join the Legion, but the Legion does not actually wish to assimilate them. As a society of raiders, the Whitelegs subsist from pillaging and murder, but have never actually developed any other skills beyond this. As such, they wish to join the Legion, one out of respect for its strength, but secondly, to provide for them. The Whitelegs consider the Legion in a very high status, mainly due to the Legion agent Ulysses teaching them how to conduct warfare properly and supplying them with the submachine guns that they're now known for. The Legion seeks to use the Whitelegs as proxies, ostensibly just to destroy Joshua Graham, but they have no intention of letting them formally join the Legion, considering them to be too primitive to be considered for this. Finally, tribal group-wise, the Great Khans are another group to experience the hard sell tactics of the Legion. Due to their hatred of the NCR, the Legion has swayed the Great Khans into an alliance. Their leader, Papa Khan, states that the Great Khans have been promised all the lands from Vegas to the Colorado, with their independence guaranteed by the Legion. Other Khan lieutenants, such as Melissa, are eager to join, as they're sold the promise of glory and honour as part of the Legion. However, they have little idea that the Legion has no intention of honouring their promises. For one, women are not permitted in the Legion's military, merely as wives, priestesses, or slaves. Carl, the Legion ambassador, outwardly praises the honour and tenacity of the Khans, but privately writes that the Great Khans are a tribe of filthy savages. In a Legion victory, the Khans are integrated into the Legion, with women and children inducted into slavery, males forcibly recruited as soldiers, and their tribal identity eradicated. And yet even still, some Khans look on the Legion favourably, given that they were able to take revenge against the NCR. The followers of the Apocalypse and Caesar's Legion are about as opposite from one another as a faction could possibly be. One is a benevolent, humanitarian, decentralized organization that seeks to provide aid and knowledge to all residents of the wasteland. The other is a military dictatorship built only on conquest that seeks to erode any individualism and assimilate all within their nation. But oddly enough, the Legion could not have been born without the followers of the Apocalypse. Its founder Caesar was born Edward Sallow and was raised as a follower of the Apocalypse, focusing on anthropology and linguistics. And at the age of 20, he was sent on an expedition to record and document the languages and history of the tribes of the Grand Canyon. Through a series of wacky hijinks based on Roman history, Edward ended up being the warlord of all the tribes in this region, declared himself Caesar, and built one of the most powerful and brutal post-war societies in the known world. The followers hate very few groups or people, but for Caesar, they make an exception. The fact that one of their own order could cause so much pain and hardship is antithetical to their entire ethos, and they hate the fact that Caesar was ever affiliated with them. Julie Farkas, one of the nicest in-game characters, refers to Caesar's death as happy news. Arcade Gannon sums up Caesar as a megalomaniac dictator playing dress-up as a Roman emperor, stating that he abdicates responsibility to a myth of historical inevitability, in his view that the Legion mirrors the Roman Empire. Given their knowledge, they hate the fact that even something as innocuous as the Roman language, used often in medical work or references to history, are now just associated with the Legion. On the other hand, Caesar has a rather mixed and nuanced view of the followers. Even while part of the group, he was described as highly intelligent, but a highly arrogant man that many found off-putting. Caesar derides their quest to bring knowledge to the people as fruitless. As an example, he describes the followers' expedition he was sent on to learn the languages of the Grand Canyon tribes as a fucking waste of time. He goes on to say that, if you think it's worthwhile to make smart people learn how to talk like backward savages, you're a follower of the Apocalypse, or an idiot. Caesar ultimately views them as naive in their goals to educate and help humanity. However, there is also a small part of him that does fear them in a way. In a weird analogy, Caesar is a nerd who moved schools and became a jock. However, his former nerd friends in the followers know him for who he truly is, and if they ever came to the new school, they'd expose him for the nerd that he really is. Caesar indoctrinates his subjects to believe that he is the son of the Roman god of war Mars, and that the unique culture of the legion was gifted from he, a demigod. However, educated people such as the followers know that he plagiarized it all from the Roman Empire, and Caesar lives with the knowledge that in truth, he's a fraud. Maybe because of this, there is a small part of Caesar that does still respect the intelligence of the followers. Even as a dictator of a tribal nation, Caesar espouses the virtue of reading books and gaining knowledge to expand one's experiences. In a legion victory, he commands his forces to allow the followers to leave the Mojave unmolested, out of respect for his former comrades. In one ending, Arcade Gannon can be sold to Caesar as a slave to treat his brain tumour. Caesar is said to be very fond of his educated physician, and enjoys holding intellectual debates with Arcade, given that no one else in the legion is near his intelligence. Ultimately, Caesar views the followers as naive cowards, however he does respect them for their intelligence. In a bit of dark humour, he claims that they taught him to bring the flame of knowledge to the wasteland, but he ended up taking the flame part a bit too literal. The followers in reverse hate Caesar for perverting their teachings and using the knowledge he gained with them to build an empire of slavery and repression. Now lastly, if there's a faction that thinks the least highly of Caesar's legion, it would be the New California Republic. The two groups have been locked in violent war for close to a decade, with the conflict described as the greatest in the post-war universe. The NCR has lost thousands of troops to the Legion since their first interaction, with the normally peaceful nation never even able to begin diplomatic relations with the Legion. The Legion was outright hostile to the NCR from the start, given that its dictator Caesar believes it to be his destiny to conquer the NCR as a former resident of the nation. He views its championing of democracy to be its key weakness, making the case that when he was born, he was taught to venerate President Tandy, who served for 52 years. Prior to this, her father Aradesh also served in the office as its first president. Caesar states that the nation was essentially a monarchy from the start, and once true democracy could take place, the nation began to falter. In his delusions of grandeur, he views the NCR as the corrupt Roman Senate, and he and his legion as the historical Julius Caesar, who will cross the Rubicon, oust the bureaucrats, and transform it into a mighty military dictatorship. The average NCR citizen knows of Caesar's legion via reports from the government and the army, yet most only see them as a more organised tribal group, one that will eventually fall to the might of the NCR. Chief Hanlon further states that the sheltered citizens overall don't care about the legion or the war, given that they're insulated from it in the home territories. The rare few non-military NCR members to hold an opinion on Caesar's legion are people such as Cassidy, who have a more worldly view given that they travel the ways as caravaneers. Cass does explain that she hates the legion for their slavery and treatment of women, but she does give them props that their brutal nature does solve 90% of the problems that the NCR caravan trade routes face. NCR caravans are raided constantly, with corrupt military officials taking so many bribes from them that it's hard to make a profit. In contrast, Legion-backed caravans are as safe as houses, as no raider gang wants to tangle with them, and Legion officials do not take bribes. Cass states that there are many in and outside of the NCR who would throw in with the Legion simply to trade their independence for safety. The NCR military, however, has a more nuanced opinion of the group, given that they're the ones to interact with the Legion. NCR soldiers are terrified of the Legion, with stories abounding of the cruel and harsh treatment captured troops have faced at Legion hands. And given that slavery, immolation, and crucifixion are on the cards, that's definitely fair enough. Troops stationed in frontline camps, such as in Camp Fallen Hope, have given into depression, declaring it's only a matter of time until the Legion kills them all. Others, at the Mojave outpost, consider the war in the Mojave to already be lost. Even Chief Hanlon, the key architect of the victory at the first Battle of Hoover Dam, considers the Legion to be the worst enemy that the NCR has ever faced, and has even begun laying the groundwork for the NCR defeat so that they can leave the region and no longer face the Legion. A large portion of the NCR's military aren't blinded by fear of the Legion, but hate them nonetheless. Boone, for example, holds a vendetta against them for selling his wife into slavery. Military commanders such as Colonel Moore observe the Legion more in a strategic sense, but do confirm that the average Legionary's fitness and combat ability is on par with the NCR Special Forces. Overall, on an ideological sense, the NCR hates the Legion with every fabric of their being. As a democratic nation, it stands in staunch opposition to a tribal dictatorship built on slavery and conquest. Notwithstanding that the Legion's leader Caesar sees it as a historical inevitability that he will conquer and rule the new California Republic. Ultimately, if there is one faction that is universally hated in the Wasteland, it is Caesar's Legion, which is understandable given that their outright modus operandi is the enslavement and assimilation of all groups that aren't them. In fact, in an almost Avengers Endgame-esque scenario, nearly every group can be convinced to fight against the Legion in the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. The Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, the Boomers, the Great Khans, the Followers of the Apocalypse, Mr. House, and two of the families, and the New California Republic can all fight against the Legion, with all these groups from across the Wasteland, who would usually hate each other, deciding to join forces to destroy an enemy that they all hate just a little bit more. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do.